Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew DiNicola. I am the Adult Services Librarian and Outreach Coordinator for Culpeper County Library. I have the distinct pleasure of being able to introduce a wonderful new event for us this evening to help dispel some of the rumors and problems that we may be starting to see, especially inside the news. So tonight's event is going to be known as Artificial Intelligence, Fears and Rumors, Good and Truth. Artificial intelligence is already transforming the world and posing a significant societal, economical, and governance challenges, but it's not all that bad. So tonight we're going to be learning about artificial intelligence with our partners here in Culpeper, Windstar Technologies, who is led by this wonderful gentleman right here, David Groot, to discuss how AI and its impact, the good and the bad, on Culpeper County. For those of you who are unaware, David Groot is the CEO and founder of Windstar Technologies, the only IT services company in the area focused exclusively on cybersecurity and compliance. For nearly 3 decades, David Groot has been helping businesses battle cyber attacks while keeping up growing compliance regulations by bringing vetted enterprise solutions to small and medium-sized businesses. With that said, David Groot, you have at it.
Thanks, Ian. As Andrew mentioned, my name is Dave Groot, and I am the president and CEO of Windstar Technologies, author of the Threat is Real series, and been in cybersecurity since 1994, when I actually still had hair. I've done a bunch of public speaking, and I've also had the opportunity to work with celebrities in the delivery of the message of cybersecurity and IT and compliance. We worked last year with Kevin O'Leary in the Small Business Tech Day for Virginia. We will be doing that again this year. We'll be working with Rob Hershevek, and from the Shark Tank. We worked obviously with Damon John. Had a lot of fun doing that. Our goal is to get the message out to as many people as we can regarding cybersecurity. And in that vein, tonight we're going to discuss AI. I am not an AI expert, but I am a cybersecurity expert. And so from that perspective, I'm going to try and at least identify where this might fit into your world and how that could be a threat, but the bigger benefits that could arise from these tools as well. Something to, as we go through this process, right, we'll be talking about, what can be done with AI that is the threat. In the news, you're hearing a lot about ChatGPT, particularly today, okay? And somehow that may impact your business. And it certainly, as we'll discuss throughout this presentation, could, but in most cases, it will impact your business in a good way. So the definition of artificial intelligence, according to Wikipedia, is the intelligence of machines or software, okay, as opposed to the intelligence of humans or animals. And I think the bigger impact here is it's really about machine learning. It's about machines ingesting vast amounts of data and then learning from that data based on algorithms and trends and the way things are shaping and moving, okay? And then we use those things to build out these intelligent systems. It's not really magic. It's just more advanced math, if that makes sense. So your computer is now, with AI, what we're trying to do is take all this data. For instance, if you're driving down the road and you're using Google Maps may tell you 20 miles up the road is a speed trap. How does it know that? Well, it knows 150 other Google users who have driven past that location in the last 10 minutes with their phones, and it's seen them drop their speed from 85 to 65. Like, it's not a big question. There's a speed trap there, right? So it's building that out based on information and some algorithms saying it's okay to make assumptions. Nothing overly scary about that today. What everybody gets into when we talk about the AI scary part is the, machines taking over the world thing, where they have their own ability to reason. with a neurological infrastructure beneath that, where they're able to act and behave like humans and think like us and reason and interpret language and the way it's being used, and that we're getting closer to, but we're nowhere near that level of it today. So a couple of different broad categories when it comes to AI, and when you hear people speaking on AI, most often they're going to be telling you about machine learning, because that's the more common use of it today. But, generally AI could be referred to based on capabilities. There's the narrow, general, and super, and that's the levels at which they're interacting with this data, okay? Or based on the functionalities. And we can get into a lot of conversation about what all those things mean from a technological level, but I would refer you to the website where they talk more about these particular categories, because I don't want to get into it, and we can provide that URL for you after the show. So, AI's been around for a while. Again, not a new concept. I think if you look online, depending on where you're reading, 1940s, about then is when they started documenting some things about what AI could be and robots and now there's been ancient myths of these beasts and machines and such. So like you could go way back. But in our world, we've been using AI in the most recent, let's just say 10 years, if not longer, with all these different types of things, right? Things I just mentioned, like Google Maps, Netflix making recommendations of the movies for you to watch. What is that? That's just ingesting data, right? Why is it that Facebook is one of the most powerful companies on the planet? Because they got data, tons of it. They got all of your interests, all of your friends and their interests, and they can see how they compare to each other and how they overlap and where it is based on you live. And all of that information has value, right? If we put an AI engine behind it, we can make it do different things for us. We can make it give us different bits of information, all based on the data that you've given to Facebook. So it makes it a very powerful company. Google Assistant, Alexa, Siri. We all use mobile phones. We all, hey Google, hey Siri, tell me how to get here, how to get there. Those are AI engines. They're just using data and they're processing your question, and then they're either, using a particular algorithm to come up with that answer, or in the case of, for instance, COVID, where we were sourcing, heat mapping, we were showing where the cases were rising, right? Where they were getting higher and higher. Only 1 in 3 people, they say, today have used these tools. It's in the beginning of hitting the market, right? We already discussed how AI learns, right? It's bringing in that vast amount of data and it's learning from it. And then we use intelligent systems to pull that data or to query it, extract it when we want it. And if a decision is made one direction, maybe that'll change the next decision from what it made last time based on what all the other data is representing. We do this. I can help, maybe articulate a little bit better with a security package like enhanced detection and response, your antivirus of business level today. That is based in many cases on machine learning and AI engines, right? We used to, a long time ago, when we had antivirus software, you downloaded on a daily basis or a regular basis, you downloaded updates to this antivirus software. Those were definition updates. The antivirus package didn't know about a virus until you had those new definitions installed. It then knew what to look for and what those viruses would look like. Well, in today's world, that landscape moves so fast, we can't afford to wait. So we need something that can watch and look for anomalies. So if it can watch 100 users on a network, and over the course of 6 months, not one of them executes this particular file, and then all of a sudden it seems to be randomly happening, like in malicious ways, it can make a decision and quarantine or sandbox or shut it down or block it automatically. Without that, we have no chance of protecting anybody from cyber threats. Without those types of tools, not going to happen. When a ransomware attack takes place and they decide to then encrypt your files to make them inaccessible, it happens so fast that, like, as soon as you recognize it, if you don't get the internet unplugged, like right now, all of it's gone. And likely you already lost your opportunity because it happens that quick. So this is a good thing in that use case, right? Now, we can take a lot of data about somebody on Facebook and use it in a bad way for the same reasons, right? Maybe I want to send a phishing email, get you to click a link. I can look at all the data and build out a profile, determine who it is that I think is going to click on this link based on this information or this threat or this call to action. And then we send it out with higher success rates, right? I don't need to be as good anymore. So it can go both ways. Now the algorithms can change on the fly. Used to be those were static. You know, if this, then this, otherwise this, right? Now we can say, well, yeah, that was true 10 minutes ago, but it looks different now. I think I'm going to go this direction. Just in looking at some of the more common AI tools today, the bigger ones that we hear about is the Chat GPT. But Microsoft has invested heavily in this, and they've now integrated it into their Bing, both chat and their Bing search, correct? Google has a product they're working on, Bard. Same kind of concept, an AI engine. Apologize for the drink of water. Okay. So these are all things we're using every day. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to drive home. This isn't new. You know, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they were writing in an article, impact of technology on small business, and they're just talking in that middle section there that about 1 in 4 small businesses have adopted artificial intelligence in their social media or in their media creation in general, or, you know, marketing and communications, because it can help them to write creative content, right? That's just one example. So what are the fears, right? The cyber attacks are going to go crazy because of the AI. And yes, that's true. There will be an increase. It's bad enough that we have the dark web where I can go buy a hack and not need to know necessarily a lot about that. It's even worse when I can just go to ChatGPT and have them write it out for me in a very quick and efficient way. But I'll give you the analogy of the biggest reason the FBI every year puts a report out on cyber attacks and breaches or all the reported incidents. And the biggest method that this happens is business email compromise. So here we have a tool, email, being used for good and bad every day, all day long. Same thing with AI, right? Same thing with any of these technology tools. They can all be used for the good or for the bad. So while the cyber attacks will explode, as I've already mentioned, we've got better tools to help fight those cyber attacks and to do automation behind a lot of that. So I'm not saying it's great, hey, it's okay, no big deal, we're going to have more. No, but it's not as doom and gloom as it might appear on the surface for those who say the fear is cyber attack exploding. Okay? I'm not saying this will happen. These are some of the fears. Noted. As I said, the scams, they're going to get better, and that's true. I'll show you an example of that in a few minutes. But, you know, the Siberian Prince days, right? We could read an email and we could tell not real, you know, broken English, no grammar, just very obviously not somebody who's fluent in speaking in our culture in English, right? But today, I can be from anywhere, and I can ask ChatGPT to write a phishing email that can then be, looking like it's extremely real by Bank of America or any other facade. Okay. So, disinformation, right? That can get distributed by artificial intelligence. So to kind of just touch for a minute on ChatGPT, and I'll do a demonstration of it here shortly. Is everybody aware of ChatGPT? Okay, and I'll speak in very general terms because I'm not an expert here, but basically that was a project where they built an engine that read the entire internet, or as much of it as it could ingest over a certain period of time. And it was able to then take that information and learn from it, right? That's the simple. So ChatGPT today is closed, meaning it's not gathering new information today. What it knows is what it knows. Correct? All right. Just want to make sure I'm not misstating. So it ended a year or two ago. So all of the data in ChatGPT's database and knowledge, therefore, is limited to that point in time. So why is it a big threat in the business world today? Well, because what companies like Microsoft and Google and all these other folks are wanting you to do as a business or as a person is to give them your data to then use the power of AI to run your businesses, right? So if you're a large company, if you've got 50, 100, 75 employees and you're accumulating or making data, or depending on what your service level is, getting that all into a database that can learn and understand so people can naturally ask questions and then get results that are real and correct and related and pertinent to the question is fantastic. I mean, that's a huge efficiency bump in a market where labor is crazy low, right? So we want to use that. Surveillance, lock-ins, and strongman crackdown, that's, basically no longer, people in control, staying in control through the use of AI and propaganda and that kind of thing. These, again, are some of the fears and the rumors. I think, personally, but I embrace technology, these are the benefits of AI, right? We can have large amounts of efficiency for data processing, thereby decision-making, both in business and government and whatever. Utilities, medical. Personalization, accessibility, like the ability to help people that have disabilities with AI, if they can do other methods of input and then get information back, right, and start to understand that. So some of the ways that they're using AI a lot today, these are just some of the higher level categories, but what this graph is representing is the amount of people who used those tools who thought the product was better. Does that make sense? So if I'm making art and I'm using AI to help me make that art, 60% of the folks who did that felt the outcome was better than if they had not, whereas the red is the opposing side of that. So it's not how many, of each category are using these technologies. It's a representation of how they're being used and did they think it was helping them. So, right, some of the concerns, some of the ethical issues, right, job displacement. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because, we felt that same way with a lot of automation, and it did hurt in some places and others. So I don't want to, I don't know. I think there's not enough folks right now for the jobs we have. So anything we can accommodate with automation is a good thing. But we also have, that data collection and that surveillance, right? If I'm the company and I'm ingesting my company data into this platform, and somehow that platform gets breached or accessed, unknowingly by somebody, or, that's a bad thing, right? Bias, yeah, I mean, we're getting into the human reasoning level. Look, maybe I'm a skeptic, but I don't see that coming anytime soon. We're a ways away from that. It's my opinion. So where do we see AI going? Obviously, increased integration in our daily lives through the tools that we currently use, and as they continue to develop more, voice assistants and, meeting recordings, and, I don't even have to show up at a meeting anymore. Otter just shows up for me and knows my schedule. It's smart enough to know it's important. It goes and records it for me and transcribes it, sends it to me in an email. Everybody thinks I went. I didn't, right? All kinds of abilities to, for collaboration, and then, right, just, using AI to build new systems and new opportunities, both in the education market, in the health market, in the, it's just incredibly vast where this is going to go. With that, I guess I would like to just spend a few minutes showing you a little bit about ChatGPT. So just to kind of, I'll give you an idea of how this works, right? I understand I have to come here and do a presentation on AI. Dave's not an AI expert. What does Dave do? I go to ChatGPT, right? Because that's what I'm going to talk about. And so I say, hey, I'm speaking to a group at the local library on the topic of artificial intelligence, and can you provide me an outline that's suitable for non-technical users? Sure. So it lays it out. Introduction, brief history, what is AI, types of categories. We followed some of these things, but I kind of got a little concerned with all that. And I said, that's great, but I only have 45 minutes to speak. Can we like simplify the agenda a little bit? So ChatGPT said, sure. Let's spend 5 minutes on the introduction. So just worry about that for 5 minutes, and then get into your everyday life, cover that for about 10 minutes. And so it broke it down and it simplified it just a tad bit more. Okay. And then I said, well, that's not enough. That's okay for the presentation, but what about that phishing stuff, right? And so I said, hey, I'm training a group on cybersecurity awareness, and I want to discuss phishing. Can you provide me an example of a good phishing email? And it says, oh, well, sure. Here's your call to action. Urgent. Account verification required at the bank secure 247. We hope this message finds you well. We recently detected, it's well written, articulate. In it, we're talking pop, like not, in seconds. There I have it. Okay. I didn't like that, but then it comes back down and even goes as far as saying, well, since you're doing some training, let's talk about the things in this particular email that you should be pointing out to people for the fact of the red flags that cybersecurity awareness would bring along with it, right? And so, hey, look at the generic greeting, and then, the sense of urgency, that call to action. Anytime you get an email and they're telling you do something fast, delete all day long. If it's important, they'll call you again. Suspicious email address, the bank secure 247, who's that? But it was still well written, right? If you're not paying attention and you don't want that account closed, you're going to click. And then what's it going to do? It's going to take you to a form asking for your username and password. Now they're in. Great. Is there any questions about how that particular thing works? Does anybody have a question we'd like to ask ChatGPT?
So there's another level, right, where it starts to talk.
mean, there's actually, you can create art with it now and everything. We're not set up for all that here, obviously, right? You want to?
I heard one person express concern that it would get so good at that,
What's that?
the audio thing, and
Wait, I mean-
matching to the person, that they're worried that kids, especially in gullible people, will end up having it be like that. This is their best friend. I mean, because it learns and it makes the voice more and more tailored to them and their topics. And
Well, so you probably won't like my answer for that question. I mean, we've had that same problem with internet chat. We've had that same problem with internet everything. Parents are the answer to that problem right there. Okay. Children need to be protected, clearly. And I can certainly see where that might be, cause for alarm. But how do you stop that? Like, it's here. It's not going away. We can't undo that. Can't put it back in, right? So we have to be prepared. We have to have better tools. We have to have awareness. We have to teach. We have to train. We have to talk. We have to educate. That's the way we fix that. It's the only way. Anything else? Yeah.
The chat bot stopped getting information
Collecting new. Yep.
2 years ago.
Yeah. You're recording. That's
What-
exactly her point.
Why? Then, if it's not up to date,
Yeah.
then what's the great importance of it? When you
Well, I mean, it still can be so, it'll become less and less important as time goes, right? But the point of this project was to, I think, more of concept and to develop the engine, because what they got is a $10 billion cash infusion from Microsoft as a result of it, right? So the point I'm trying to make is it's going to continue to change and evolve over time, right?
And also, just to add, that's on the free versions, the paid versions. And also, to just add, that's on the free versions. The paid versions have access to the live internet, right? So, as he was saying, the first initial models were kind of a proof of concept where they were trying to prove what they could do, right? And it wasn't necessarily a commercial-ready product. But then once people started realizing all the things they could do with it, they quickly were able to capitalize on that.
So I just asked it basically to show me how to create a web form so that I can capture information, right? Because I don't know how to do that. And so it's typing the code for me to create that web form. And then it's helping me style it using Cascade styling. Hour validating, making sure that they put numbers in a field that requires numbers and name in the name field. And, these are required fields. If you don't, you got to fill it in before we take your stuff and hack you. Right? And again, it just, now that's not of any real action. I mean, it's a web form, it certainly is, but there's no servers behind it. There's no ability to send mail using a particular server or anything. You would have to do some modification and changes. But the point I'm trying to drive home is it's that simple. You're just typing in a question and then you can further elaborate, right? It just gave you all that. And then you say, oh, great. Well, my mail server address is bop, 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 bop. My username is this, and can you show me where all that would go in the script? Because I want to just do copy, paste, put it in Notepad, save the file, and off I go. As an example. If you wanted to write a story or, it'll help you with what other people wrote statically, that it has in that information. You can, they're worried, there's people in the music industry worried about their art, right? Because you can say, hey, I want to write a song and I want to do it in the flavor of Beyonce. Well, she's not liking that too terribly much, and because now you can start in being influenced in the music style and the lyrics as best as an artificial intelligence can do that. Now, it can also provide you misinformation, right? No guarantee that it's 100% accurate. Don't take that for granted. Absolutely need to be researching those things, especially if you're going to tell somebody something from this as though it's fact. That makes sense? How are we doing on time? Good.
David, I've got two questions for you. So number one is for Culpeper County specifically.
Yeah.
Have you seen an impact in any way, fashion, or form of how AI has been transforming just Culpeper County specifically, whether it be in the cybersecurity field or just in the way that the businesses are using some of the models?
I mean, I can't speak for any particular business. I can say that my assumption, and again, based on just what I know in the industry as a whole, is that primarily you're seeing it for the purpose of social media interaction for these businesses, if they're using that for writing ads, right, for getting that information out on a topic. As far as certainly it's impacting cybersecurity in many ways, more in good than bad that we're seeing, but that's not to say that the threat actors are not actively engaging and trying to use this against everybody.
My second question actually has more to do with Star Trek: The Next Generation. So if you are, for those of you who are not familiar with Star Trek: The Next Generation, one of the things that they primarily do is that they're constantly asking the computer to create or find or solve a problem. Is that something that that we're going to be seeing, in your opinion, going more into the future?
I think you got it today on a high level. Maybe not perfectly, not Star Trek style, maybe, but I got to tell you, I mean, the internet is full of a lot of information, right? And if you need help, like, I mean, anybody go to YouTube when you got to fix something, right? Or you got to, you know, is that not useful information to help get that done, right? So, yeah, absolutely. Am I wrong? All right. Any other questions? What do we want to ask? What do we want to know? How can we fix something? What do you want to fix?
How about we develop something for Culpeper Con right on the spot?
All right. What would you like?
I would like a story about two librarian superheroes solving censorship.
Boy. I don't think I want the apostrophe, but we'll go with it.
And for those of you who are watching this at home, David is going to copy and paste this into an email for me.
Boom. Okay. Librarian superheroes. There you go. The Chronicles of Knowledge. Now, would you like to change something about that? Is there a bias you would like to throw in there or something? Can we say, like, you know, tell it from the evil side or something along those lines? Or what would you call that? Can we hear that from the viewpoint of the nemesis? And I do know how to spell. I just don't know how to type. Boy, got that one so wrong, it doesn't even know how to make it better. HEAR. Let's see what that comes back. The quest for order and the heart of city. There you go. That's what you call the yin and the yang.
Well, every good superhero does deserve a nemesis.
That's right. It's even talking about Eleanor and Max, the same two librarians. Anyway, it's fun, right? Useful. Now, you should never turn that in verbatim, right? Right?
Will that be on the final exam?
I mean, you can use it for notes. I think that's okay. But so now you've got two viewpoints. And again, that's just kind of how it works, right? You just keep speaking to it and talking with it, and it understands, Sometimes I'll ask it things about cybersecurity, and it says, look, that's not okay. I can't talk to you about that. But then I say, well, but I'm training, and I need that information to be able to demonstrate the threat to these folks. Oh, well, that's a different story. Blah, 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 blah. Here's how you do all that, So it understands the pretense of the conversation. Kind of crazy, pretty scary.
So you're basically back to the premise of education. That, as you were saying, to answer his question, yes, there needs to be education. You need to educate people as to what it can do and what is not acceptable.
Sure.
I mean, you hear about college students getting their thesis, really, and obviously that's not acceptable and it's probably incorrect.
Well, look, it's not new that somebody would try and cheat, let's say, or misinform or what have you, right? All those things are happening today. None of it's, it's just, what is this? It's a vehicle, it's a tool that's making it somewhat easier, more accessible, just like the internet did with information, right? Just like, 20 years ago, we didn't have access to the things we have today. It just every day I'm amazed at how much I can do without actually ever interacting with anybody. It's quite amazing if you just start paying attention. I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying that it just, the way all this technology has just kind of enveloped into our life and just kind of been stitched in with your mobile phone and every other little part of it, it's everywhere you look. So you like you say, the best way to combat that is with knowledge, right? That's really the only way to make it so that it works. And I know that that's not likely, and not everybody's wanting to learn, and so it just takes everybody more getting interested in doing that. And it hurts everybody when those things when breaches occur, when hacks are taking place, whether it's from somebody from a country or organized crime or inside the business. It hurts everybody. It's not good for anybody. And all those things require education. It's the only way to stop it. And I don't know that you will. You got to learn how to deal with it, right? We're not going to stop COVID either. We're learning how to live with it. I'm not saying that's good, but it's what we got.
So on this version, will it answer a question I asked the same way? So if I asked the same question you did, what songbirds live in Virginia? Would it answer me differently than it would answer you after working with you for a while?
I honestly can't give you an answer to that because I've never tried that. My suspicion is not necessarily, right? Only because it could be continuing to watch and see how many people are asking those kinds of questions and how they're responding and getting answers back. And it could therefore maybe have a change of opinion because the algorithms adapt, right? Same data set. Nothing there has changed. Just the way people are interacting with that data set is now a new thing to look at. Okay? Any other questions? All right. I think we're good.
All right. Well, certainly, on behalf of Culpeper County Library, I certainly would like to thank, of course, Dave Groot and Windstar Technologies for being here tonight. Certainly also would like to thank our friends and partners over at Culpeper Media Network for recording this. And we certainly hope to be able to have more events to be able to bring more knowledge to Culpeper County going forward into the near future. So thank you very much, folks, and have a great evening.